All right, welcome, folks. People are coming in. I think we've got our commissioners. I don't know if there's Linda. Hi, Linda. Linda Escobedo is our select board representative, and I see a bunch of other folks here. So, all right, I think Heather, is everybody in?
Yep,
Wants to
looks
come
like
in.
it.
Okay. All right, well, why don't I go ahead and get started since it's 7:03. And of course, people can come in later. So let me welcome you all to the, pardon me, October 7th, 2021 Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission meeting. This meeting is being called to order at 7:03 p.m. by my clock. We have one continuance and 4 new applications to review this evening. And we have some additional business at the end of the meeting if we're all still raring to go. So let me do a roll call of commissioners present first. If you wouldn't mind just saying aye when I say your name, that would be terrific. Abby? Aye. Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Mia?
Aye.
And Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm the 6th, so I declare we have a quorum and we are good to go. I don't know if we're expecting any of the commissioners, so pardon me. So just to do my little spiel here, we're conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Mass Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law. This is a continuance of that order. The public may access this through phone and video conference. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation, and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand using the Zoom participant function, or wave at us, or use *9 if you're on the phone, and we'll find you one way or another. Our host is Heather Gill. She'll be muting the microphones. If she forgets to do that, please, if you wouldn't mind muting your microphone if you're not speaking, just to preserve the chaos of sound. And we'll keep the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant team on video. After the presentation, I'll call on each commissioner for comments and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I'll come back to the commission for a vote to either continue to the next meeting, approve, disapprove, or approve with conditions. I'll ask for a second and perform a roll call vote. And after that, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. So that's my official spiel. And I just want to point out, we have 4 new public hearings. The first continuance will likely take longer than, I am so sorry, that frog in my throat. It will take a while. So if you're one of the other petitioners, if you would just be patient with us, we're just going to go through a bit of a process here tonight. Pardon me. So our continuance is 615 Lowell Road. This is the Barrett Farm District, Mike Bushnell. This is a certificate of appropriateness to construct a single family dwelling on a vacant lot. I just want to start off by saying thank you to the team. We had a site visit this morning. Several members of the public were there with us, and we got a tour of the site. It was staked out. Again, thank you for showing that to us. I think we've got a pretty good idea of the proposed structure, the site configuration, and what have you. And I just want to point out to all of us at this meeting that it is our sometimes unpleasant job to thoroughly vet certain applications. It takes longer than some people would like, and it can be aggravating all around, but please bear with us. This is a very important process. We are charged with balancing the needs and responsibilities of the individual homeowner or property owner with the concerns of the town and the historic district and the character of the town. So our deliberations, I think, are important. I think we've got a good strong commission here, and we're good at listening and striking the balance. So I'll stop my spiel there. So I think let me see, I'm just looking at the commissioners here. I think, Paul, you did get a tour of the site privately. I think, Melinda, you've driven by it. You're off campus at the moment. So I think we've all got a pretty good sense of the site. And I think what I'd like to do, there's been a lot of new information since the last meeting, both from the applicant and some information received from the public. So I think what I'd like to do, given that this is the applicant's part of the program, is to review any new material. And I don't know if and I see Elise Stone is here probably. I don't see you, Elise, but I bet you're here. If we could go through the design drawings, probably with the site plan, maybe starting with the site plan through the design, and then I've got a list sort of on my computer here of things that have come in since the last meeting, but I'm not exactly sure. Heather, maybe you can help me. There was a historical site plan, some GFA frontage information, a tree protection letter, a rendering. So there was some additional material. And maybe, Elise, if you, and I don't mean to jump ahead of you, Mike, if you were going to do the presentation, but I would love for someone to walk us through the design one more time, the model photos, the new material, and go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna present it as a team. I'll go through some of the new stuff, then Elise will take over.
Okay, great. Well, unless commissioners have any further sort of preliminary comments, I say we let the applicant go. All right, why don't we, let's get going. Thank you,
All right,
Mike. Well,
super. Heather, if you could put up the rendering, only because I have my notes in order here. So yes, there's been a lot of new information since the last meeting. Thanks to Heather facilitating everything out to everybody. So we can start with the rendering. I think some of the members had asked for this. It's pretty very straightforward. The biggest thing here is we changed the house color. We did have everything white, and looking around, I think there's enough white farmhouses in that area. So we've gone with it's a grays, a historic grays. Let me get the colors here. We got Stonington gray in the main house and Coventry gray for the garage. We'll have white trim and black. The windows will have black trim. That's the biggest thing from this rendering that you can take out. And in general, you can see the massing of the house and the size of it. I don't know if do you want to ask questions as we go, Paul, or you just want me to go through everything?
no, Mike, I think if you
I'm
would
sorry.
go ahead and make the presentation, and then we'll ask, I'll go around the commission. with that.
Sure, okay. Heather, if you can put up the landscape plan. Yeah, so here's the landscape plan as requested by the board. In general, there's a lot of new plantings. We're going to plant 16 new trees with a caliper of roughly 40 plus inches. 6 of them sugar maples, 5 red maples. There's some birches and dogwoods. We're clearing that front left corner as we discussed at the meeting. And we have arborvitae screening along the left side and on my right side of butter. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. It shows the brick walks. You can see down lower, I think, the red brick walk, and then we're proposing a granite fencing out front, very typical granite fencing that's, I think, approved by the HDC and other sites. From there, you could, there's an expanded site plan, Heather. Probably, I know there's a couple that's confused. Yeah, probably that one there. Again, the board members had requested an expanded site plan to see the different properties around us. Yeah, that would be this one here. You can't really read some of the measurements, but my nearest abutter to the left is, I'm pretty sure that's 174 feet away, structure to structure. And then my abutter to the right, we are 67 feet away from structure to structure. If you can see these footprints here, there's been a lot of comments that my structure is too big for the lot. But as you can see, a lot of the footprints of these other buildings, you can maybe make it smaller, Heather. I think you can see the rest of the sites around. My footprint, what's hard to see, we have a lot of stuff in there, but I have another site plan that we'll look at a little bit later. My footprint is a lot smaller than the majority of the houses around us. Specifically, my right-hand side of Butter, if you can see his footprint and my footprint, and I know there's concerns over massing. From there, for that massing, from the best I can understand the language and going through the HDC massing language, it's in relation to the abutting properties. The only property that we can really see is my right-hand abutter at 625 Lowell Road. I think from this morning's site walk, you can clearly see my project is a lot smaller than the massing of next door. And again, it's the only, everything else is screened. I think that's the only house that anyone can see either way. Heather, if you can make some of those charts, there's a chart, green, there's a chart that has some green on it. Yeah, that's the yellow one. There's a green one, the second one. Yep. Back, keeping with this massing conversation, the two green lots are the only two lots out of 25 plus building lots here that the houses are actually smaller than mine. Every other house here is bigger in square footage, and majority of them substantially bigger. I presented this to, as I know there was, again, there's a lot of questions over the massing. If you can go to the other one, Heather, the one with the yellow. This is another document that shows back to many questions about the lot looks squeezed in. All the lots in yellow here have smaller frontage than my lot. I have 194 feet of frontage. And again, 25 lots, you can see how many of them have smaller frontage than I do. Let's see. Between my point in these two graphs, both of them, is that we're not setting any new precedent here. All the lots are, we have similar frontage. We're not breaking any rules. It's a legal building lot. And then the size of it, we'll be one of the smallest of 25 houses around in regards to square footage. I think that does it for new stuff. There is a revised site plan. I moved the driveway. There was some comments in regards to the driveway. Yeah, that's a revised site plan. So we moved the driveway away from the trees. It did everything we can to move it away, move the bump out away from those trees. There's also a letter from an arborist in there, and I consider those trees an integral part of the property. We will take all measures to save there's 6 sugar maples along there, and there's also a Norway maple further up on the driveway. The town considers invasive, but we plan on trying to save it. I don't know if you want that letter, Heather, but there's a letter from an arborist going through the details. I think maybe everyone saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to read all that, but so I've had him on board long before I got the comments the other day in protecting those trees.
Yeah, I don't think, by the way, I don't think, Mike, we have to read that into the record.
Yeah, no,
we'll digest it, you know.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that does it for the extra information that we provided. In conclusion here, this is a legal building lot. We've worked hard to design a house that will fit here and enhance the district. Elise, my architect, has a long history of working in town. At this point, I would guess she's done hundreds of projects, including many through the HDC that have won awards. They've worked together with Elise. In the big picture, someone is going to be building a house here, and I think we make a good team to build there. I certainly care about what I'm building. I don't just buy. I can buy a plan out of a magazine for 1/10 of the cost. Elise has a long track history of working with you guys. I think one of my butter who has the most objections bought his house 2 years ago there on the right with full knowledge of a legal building lot behind him. I think a legal term, it's called informed consent. We have every right, he enjoys his backyard with a swing set and trampoline, and there's every right that there's gonna be a house behind him that has this swing set. I think we've put a lot of time in, like I said, and it's a well thought out project. And from here, I think Elise might have a little bit more to talk about.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Elise, did you want to add to that or?
Yes, I would, excuse me. I was going to just talk a little bit to just some of the design characteristics that,
Okay.
you know, we kind of work through. So maybe put up the model, Heather. You have some photos of the model. So I brought the model to the site visit today. And, you know, so hopefully you were able to kind of see some of the, just some of the three-dimensional quality of it. But generally, when I started with this project, I mean, for me, working in the historic district, it was very much keeping with the historic fabric of Concord. And, you know, some of those features are the simple gable roof facing the street, traditional windows, shutters, a small enclosed portico, side porch, bay windows, etc. So, you know, one of the comments that I heard from the neighbor was we were copying his house. And so after the meeting, and I think, Heather, you have some of those photos. After the meeting today, I drove down and Lowell Road, and I just took a bunch of photos down Lowell Road, the historic. Do you have those, Heather? Hello, Heather?
Yeah, hang on, she's muted there.
Oh, sorry.
I
Give
think
me
her
one
baby-
second to, I have to,
I think Charlotte's sitting on the keyboard or something.
no, I realize I have to change the share screen to see them. Can you see them now?
Yes.
Well, this one's actually on Elm Street, but that's fine. They might be in the opposite order. So, but my point is, look, we can just go through them quickly, Heather, is there are throughout Concord, you know, the two housing types that I would say are the most prevalent are, you know, let's call this the village colonial with the gable facing the street. And we can go through them, Heather. I mean, I just took them quickly.
Can you see all these that I'm putting up?
We can only see one,
We can
Heather.
only see one, yeah.
Can you see this one? Or is it,
No, just the
no,
same.
okay.
Just
I have
that
to like
same one.
stop share and reshare for every photo. So
Oh, geez.
I'll just go through it while you talk.
Okay, so my point in this is that the two basic types that we see mostly in Concord are the village colonial type with a gable facing, all different, you know, different porches, side porches, front porches, porticos, or the colonial. And, you know, my point of doing what I did is that, you know, there are so many houses throughout Concord that have these elements. And what it means is that when you drive down one of these streets, it creates a visual continuity that is what we all enjoy about Concord, because you don't have something that feels out of place. And so my whole point of this house was to really use some of the elements. So, you know, I mean, most houses to a certain degree are a copy of a house, right? I mean, who designed the first colonial, and is every colonial beyond that a copy? At some point, you know, architecture is a derivative from another part. So I just wanted to address that point that was made. So these are, I'm sorry about this. I should have made it an easier way to do it, but because it really, you know, this one's on Lexington Road in the historic district. You know, you look at each one of these houses and say they're beautiful, but did this house, when this house was built with the 2-story bay, did we all say, you know, that was wrong? No, I think that gives Concord the flavor and texture that we all enjoy. So that's one point I just wanted to make in terms of what I was trying to do stylistically. In terms of the massing and how it fits on the lot. So first of all, we push it to the left side, because as you stand facing the lot, to the left of the lot is kind of the entry to the house that sits way back. So that visually gives a little bit of a break between houses. It doesn't, we're not trying to push the house too close to the house on the right, which, as Mike mentioned, is really the only house that you can see together with it. The other thing with pushing it to the left is that it, you know, it did keep it further away from the corner house. But I also want to point out that in terms of the massing, the front part is taller than the back. The back portion of the house makes up almost 750 square feet of the house. And as you come along Lowell Road, you will see a little bit on the left, but you won't see that much because it's that much lower. And maybe bring up the model again, Heather. And maybe bring it on the left side of it, because I think the thing to point out, and you see it from the rendering, is that you cannot see really that back portion of the house from most of the public way, which is what we're, you know, most interested with. And that's the family room, because it's that much lower than the front. So the front part of the house that you really see driving down Lowell Road is only 2,650 square feet. So again, you know, trying to keep the massing smaller. And then, you know, we push the garage back so that it doesn't appear next to the house. So again, as you're driving down Lowell Road, you won't see the garage until you are way past it. And even coming down on Four Corners, you have to really cross the corner to even glance to your right and see the garage, because it's set that far back. So, and really coming along Barrett's Mill, you will never see this house because it is really blocked by 625 until you come to the corner. So I just wanted to point out that we spent a lot of time thinking about the siting and how it sits on the lot, and trying not to make it appear too big from Lowell Road. So, I mean, that's all I have to say about it, but I'll answer any questions on the model or.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Can I ask a question before we get into discussion about the site plan, the one with all the properties shown? Heather, could you put that one up, the historical site plan, I think it's called? Could somebody explain to me why the property lines, if you zoom in, the road curves up and the property line goes sort of in the other direction? Why is that? Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I'm talking about there?
I think, yeah, you're asking, there seems to be a lot of town-owned land in between the road.
Okay,
and
so is
my-
that a town easement?
I would guess, it seems it gets larger as it gets to 625 Lowell Road. It's like a wedge. Is that what you're asking?
Right, it's a
Yeah.
big wedge and, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, when they laid out these houses years ago, it could have been a different layout there in the
Okay,
road.
I'm just
I do not know
curious.
that. It's a great question.
Okay,
But like that screen, that way, the majority of that screening really is town screening that
right.
you see out there. It's not, I don't own the screening, nor does 625 own that screening.
It's sort of an odd thing, but,
I
okay.
agree.
All right, so I think I'm gonna go around to see what thank you both, by the way, for the presentation. I think I've got a pretty good idea of the new material. I think it's fair to say that what we're looking at carefully with this property is mostly the proportion of the built structure to the lot. While you're right, Mike, there are other houses that are bigger. It's the sort of proportion to the lot size that is, frankly, sort of our biggest concern. And then I think probably the way the garage sits against the house, that's the other thing that is that's a sort of a tricky thing to do. Now, let me just, one other question. So this the thing you're proposing tonight is 42 feet back from the lot line. You have
Correct.
you had another design earlier that pushed it back even further, but
Yeah.
that was objectionable. Why? Because it got even closer to the.
I think we thought this was
Twirl.
better. Yeah, I think Heather still has that proposal.
Okay, I'm just, it really, you don't have to answer.
Yeah,
wanted to- yeah.
we just thought it was better, moving it forward, better for everybody involved.
Yeah,
But
most of the houses.
I'm open to your suggestions. If you guys want it at 60 instead of 40, it's fine by me.
Yeah, I see. I mean, it's an interesting when you really look at the whole district and look at the way the houses are set. It's all over, frankly, all over the map. Some are set
Sure.
way back, some are up front. You know, it probably depends on the age of the house. Okay, well, I don't want to take the microphone, so why don't I do this? Let me, if Mike, if you and Elise would stay on the line here, let's go around and hear from the commissioners, both about the site visit this morning and then any current thoughts. And let's see, I'm going to pick on you in order on my screen. So Abby, are you free at the moment? Because you've got a diaper on your
free at the
shoulder.
moment.
So,
Sorry,
okay.
everyone. I have a newborn in my arms, but he is contentedly sleeping.
All right, do you feel like talking?
Yeah, so I can start
Okay.
talking. So thank you for the site visit this morning. I think it was really helpful and instructive to see the ridge height and the staking. And I think I got most of my questions answered. You know, usually when we're kind of considering an application, we really dive right into the details and talk about, you know, light fixtures and fencing and all that. And I'm not really in a position to do that on this application because I think there's an initial hurdle that has to be overcome. I have no objection to the design of the house. I think it's a lovely design. I have an objection to it on this lot, which I think is the real crux of it. I think you've done the best that you can given a unfortunately shaped piece of property in a very prominent location. But for me, the massing, the visual impact from kind of, you know, setback to setback, the impact of the garage, you know, the reduction in screening in the front, all of that combines, in my mind, to create a structure and a placement that just simply isn't appropriate. And I'm not sure that a tweak to the design could overcome my objections to it in terms of the massing and the scale and the placement on this lot. I don't think the house is inappropriate potentially in another location in the historic district. I don't think the lot is unbuildable, as some have suggested. But I don't know if it would be worth spending time trying to tweak a design that I think just in terms of the scale isn't going to be something that I'm going to be able to determine would be appropriate or in keeping with our guidelines. I think it would have to be such a dramatic reduction in size that it would become untenable for you. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of helpful guidance. You know, usually I think all the commissioners, we really endeavor to come out with a solution and an ultimate application that abutters support, the applicant supports, the commission supports, that we really come to a consensus. I'm really stuck on this one because I'm just not sure that I could voice specific objections that would move us forward, because I have such an objection to the overall size and massing and limited options for placement on this lot. So that's kind of where I sit at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Luis.
I want to echo what Abby said. I think, first of all, I want to praise both the architect and the developer, because they have made a substantial effort to create a proposal that involves a very competent structure, which certainly fulfills a number of concerns that people would have in a historic district. The problem here is that that structure, no matter how you look at it, is just too big for this lot. The height of the structure will obscure sunlight from many of the adjacent lots, including the same lot. And the whole thing is just too big for the place where it is. I know that there have been some issues, or somebody has tried to address specifically the issue of massing. You see, if you look at the site of the building from the perspective of the massing, then it's clearly that it's massing, because the distance between the current structures, it's an average of a certain distance. And if you add this structure as proposed, then that structure will be in about half of the distance of all the other structures that are there. So I think that there's objective evidence to support the issue of massing. Then I'm also quite concerned about the historical relevance of this particular site. See, I think that this is where the Minutemen and the militia assembled. They convened from Concord and Carlisle and Acton, and then they marched into Boston. So this is a site that has to be treated very carefully. And I don't think that anything but a structure that it's about at least half or maybe a third of the size will be appropriate here. You see, and I cannot see myself supporting anything that it's beyond that. So again, I think that this is a wonderful design. I think that the sincerity and the competence of both the developer and the architect are quite obvious, but I don't think that this particular lot lends itself to a building with this size and proportions. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Paul, you're next on my screen.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. First of all, I guess I'd be interested, and maybe others would, in the feasibility of slightly, is there some modest downsizing in any dimension that would obviate some of the concerns of the commission? And secondly, with respect to the garage building, is the visual improved by detaching the garage and moving it a little further back? Or, I mean, for example, in the model, you can place the garage obviously adjacent to the building. What kind of thought was given to that, and what were the conclusions there from Elisa's standpoint or Mike's standpoint? And I'll preface that by saying I disagree with my distinguished colleagues that there is really no building that can go on this site that isn't more than half its size, which can't be properly screened, can't be located in such a way as to not do violence to Hildreth's Corner. I just don't agree with that. I don't think it's our business to stop people from a good design, which everybody is admitting or conceding as a good design, properly located. So I start from the proposition that something is possible. And I'm just asking the question, are there modifications here that would ameliorate some of the concerns, such as detaching the garage, such as some reduction in dimension, which would not do violence to the purposes for which one builds a home?
I could try to answer it. I don't know if Elise wants to too. I mean, a detached garage is not very desirable in today's world for a new house. Everybody wants an attached garage with a mudroom. I don't think it would change much. If we did detach it and moved it back, you'd still have a very similar look. I don't think we'd be accomplishing what we think it might accomplish. And as far as making it smaller, we can't get much smaller. If we took 200 feet off of this square footage wise, you wouldn't be able to tell. The same way you can't tell if we added 200 square feet to it. So I don't think, I appreciate the comments, but I don't think they would accomplish what you're hoping they would accomplish. in making it smaller in the square footage. Or I think the detached would look the same.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we didn't
Okay.
mean to put you on the spot. You don't have to answer
Yeah.
that tonight,
Yeah.
frankly, Mike. It might,
Sure.
I mean, I'd also like to add that I'm not as, I could see a detached garage and I think we could arrive at one that might, look good. I've done a few in town. But I also did another thing with the garage where the roof was not, the gable was not facing the street. It was the opposite way and it just looks smaller. The garage looks smaller that way. But I mean, I thank Paul for those comments because, I mean, the other two, like you feel like there's no way to move forward. I mean, it's unattainable to have a house of 2,000 square feet. It just is. I mean, in today's world. So, any suggestions, like in terms of trying to overcome some of the objections, we could look at.
I
okay.
mean, I think the other,
Hang on.
it seems to me the other thing that can ameliorate some of the impact to the surrounding area is the screening. And obviously you have a landscape plan that indicates quite a lot of screening. But I mean, the substance of that, how it's executed, the kinds of trees, the size of the trees, and all of those characteristics have a real impact on the appearance and the apparent size of the building. So it seems to me something can be done, even if you cannot reduce the size of the dwelling itself. And I don't feel, I mean, I've read the comments of the neighborhood and I understand it, I get it. I lived, invested in, owned, and donated land from an historic home in Concord where we lived for 30 years. I get the point, I'm a believer. But on the other hand, this is well proportioned. It can be set back sufficiently and screened sufficiently that I think there's a way to do this without doing violence to the historic nature of that area. And I don't think we ought to hop over that fact just because there's a lot of opposition to it. I mean, in reality, there are disparate designs all over town that I'm sure given times the next door neighbor didn't like or the neighborhood didn't like. So I think we ought to be careful here in rejecting this out of hand and try to be thoughtful about how to work with this owner.
Thanks, Paul, for the
Thank you.
comments.
Yeah.
Again, we can do anything you want with the landscape plan here. And if the board would prefer not to see the house, we can put screening up front. As right now, I think there's 6 sugar maples across the front, new ones. But we can do screening if you would prefer not to see a house when you went by.
Well, Mike, I just want to point out that let me know for a sec. We can't really tell you what to do. In fact, we
Sure.
shouldn't, either with the house or the landscape. But I think this is actually this is part of the discussion I want to have. But Paul, were you through? I just want to make sure we hear from Mia and Melinda. Can we move on, or do you have more to say, Paul?
No, I just wanted to be forthright about my instincts here.
Okay. And by the way, Heather, I forgot to say that for voting purposes tonight, beside me, the voting members are Luis, Nia, Paul, and Melinda, just to put that on the record. So, Nia, you are next on the rotation here. What do you think?
Okay, I too wanted to thank Mike and Elise for responding so quickly to all of our requests for further information. It was much appreciated. I think Paul has some excellent points. For me, the problem has more to do with the lot than with the actual house. I think the identical house that's proposed on an identical lot in another part of town could in fact be very appropriate. Every site in town is unique. And in this particular case, it is the narrowness of the lot, not the size of the lot, that's the problem. Because I understand it's, you know, it's 40,000 square feet and there's plenty of other lots in the area that are similar of size, but it's this narrowness. And if you look at some of those maps that were shown to us earlier with yellow and green, I think this lot stands out for the narrowness of where the actual house is. Yes, it's got frontage, whatever, but the part where the house is very, very narrow. You also have here the setting of historic neighboring houses of Hildreth Corner. You have what is typical in the Barrett's Farm District, which is, you know, the sort of rural feel to the place, open fields, streams, naturalistic plantings. It's not sort of like a formal suburban setting. This lot is very unusual in that it is visible both from Lowell Road, and it almost acts as a corner lot because I think it is very visible from Barrett's Mill. And importantly to me, the view sheds in this district are very important. The ability to see through the lot to what's going on down by the river, to the field next door, etc. So from my perspective, the house would do better if it were pulled, or a house, if it were pulled further away from the road. I think the house would appear less imposing. I also think, frankly, from a buyer's standpoint, I live on Lowell Road. It is a very busy road. This particular corner at Hildreth Corner is a big traffic issue. It's noisy. People are stopping, starting, etc. So I think it would be in your buyer's interest to pull the house further back. The house itself may not actually be huge in size, but to me, it feels too big on the site. When I was there today, I mean, it really hit me that, you know, you're right, the square footage is not enormous, but on this lot, I think it's going to feel much bigger than the square footage would indicate. I too, as other commissioners have said, absolutely love Elise's work. She's well respected throughout town. We've worked with her a lot, and I truly love her designs. But in this case, where she's turned it with the gable facing the street, that works from Lowell Road, but the long, thin massing, I think, doesn't work from the Barrett's Mill side. So that visually was, you know, a detractor for me. I echo some of the concerns about the garage. We generally really try hard to work with an applicant to have not have the garage doors face the street. I think the garage in this context, you know, just looks completely out of context in the surrounding neighborhood. I'm not sure entirely what's going on with the garage. It looks to me that there's an interior staircase where the mudroom area is, that I'm assuming is going up to the second story of the garage, and there's dormers and whatever. So to me, the footprint of the garage may not be that enormous, but I think by adding these other volumes, it's making it feel bigger. And I don't know if there's something that could be done to change that. And I think, again, back to the view sheds, I think the garage could potentially block the views of the asparagus barn and the barns at the neighboring, all of which I think are important to this corner. If we turn to the landscape plan, which we can see in front of us, you can see the emerald green arborvitaes, the row of arborvitaes, both on the north side and the south side. And to me, what that indicates is that the house is jammed on the lot, because it's telling you that there is not enough room to create a more naturalistic screen. And I think, again, for this lot in its context, having trees lined up along the lot line is totally inappropriate. Virtually every tree in the front half of the lot is slated for removal, whether it's on, that weird piece that belongs to the town or on the actual property itself. And I think what's important, we've discussed the trees. I agree that the three in question are not in tip-top shape, but I think they're worth trying to work with. And, if you look at, I read the arborist letter, he talks about the tree save area. If you read the town's tree bylaw, the tree save area is defined as for every inch of diameter of the trunk at chest height, you need 1 foot of radius all the way around the tree. So I can't read this. Say where the bump out is, the tree in the middle, 24-inch trunk. That would mean that tree needed to be protected. That 24-inch maple would need 24 feet circle in all directions, so a radius of 24 feet around. And on one of the other site plans where there were dimensions, the bump out from the driveway is 6 feet away, and I think the garage is about 10 feet away. Correct me if I'm wrong. I may be reading these plans incorrectly, but it looked to me like the location of this garage and the location of the driveway would absolutely guarantee the demise of these trees. Sugar maples are notoriously shallow rooted. They do not tolerate compacted roots at all. And I think, there's no way you can pour a foundation, put in a driveway, have construction vehicles operating in such a restricted site and not cause damage to those trees. I totally appreciate that, Mike, that you have to build a house that's going to work for you financially. And I am willing to work hard with you to try and come up with a solution. But I think the current proposal is not appropriate for this site.
All right, thank you. I think I lost you there. Oh, there you are, Nia. Okay for the moment?
Yes, thank you.
All right, and Melinda, last but not least.
So I agree with everybody in some aspects. I do feel like it's jammed on the lot. For me, the garage is a deal breaker. I don't know when, all of the pictures that Elise showed of homes that she took recently, not one had a picture of a garage on it. And garages with dormers are not really historic in look at all. So right away, I like the fact that you tried to take it back and have it not show as much, but I think it's inappropriate there. I don't like the black windows. That's not a historic look. People have done it in other parts of Concord with rehabbing older homes, but it makes it look like a contemporary home. And so I think that's not appropriate either. There's a house near me, actually on Garfield Road, that they call a Telegraph House, in that it looks like a small cape from the front, but you wouldn't know when you walk in. It gets bigger because more of the bigness is in the back. And you might have to go with a one-car garage, but I think you should be putting it in back. Is that a solar array, by the way, in the back there? Where the lines, or is that the septic system?
It's a septic.
Septic.
Okay, so you're limited in terms of how far you can go back. I think there is something that could be done here. I'm a realtor. Not everybody's going for huge houses anymore. And I think you could probably lop off quite a lot. You might have to make major changes in terms of this, but as it sits now, I don't, well, first of all, with 100 people saying, and you know, the people have spoken. We've never had this many people weigh into something, and I've been on this commission for a number of years now. A lot of people think this is inappropriate, not just us commissioners. So I rest my case.
This is not a court, just
I-
just so I do want to point out that to everybody that I've looked at the historic maps of Concord a little bit, given this property. This was not actually always an intersect like this. It was actually kind of a square back in the late 19th century, I think, or the mid 19th century. And there were only 4 structures in the area, only I think a couple of which remain. So, you know, I don't want to get too hung up on the fact that this intersection has been like this exactly forever and ever since the beginning of time. It's not the case. So the town, as with everything, evolves. So I want us to keep that in mind as well in our deliberations. Okay, so I think we've gone. Did I hear from everybody? I did hear from everybody. So I'd like to just ask one more time, since now we've all heard each other speak, at least, if Abby, Luis, Paul, if you have any additional thoughts, Mia or Melinda, now that you've heard each other talk. I'm just going to stand back and try to be vaguely neutral here. Any further thoughts before we? Yes, Luis.
I just want to express my concern towards the whole Historic Districts Commission, that from my perspective, our role is not to assist in the design of structures in the historic district. Our role is strictly to evaluate an application and determine whether that proposal is appropriate for the purpose of maintaining the historic character of Concord. So I am particularly concerned with some of my colleagues, which I immensely respect, which they seems to be willing to accommodate any ulterior motives that may exist in the part of the applicant, which are extremely legitimate motives, but are not our purview. See, our purview is to determine whether the historic character of the town of Concord will be enhanced, diminished, or preserved by the presence of this structure. And that's where all our discussion ends. We cannot support or suggest the idea of changing the garage or moving the house, etc. The only thing we can say is this proposal fits with the purposes of the Historic Districts Commission or does not. That's all.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Abby, did I see you raising your hand? No. Paul, any thoughts? Are you good for the moment?
I'm good for the moment. I guess I would say, notwithstanding the distinguished doctor's comments, that we don't operate in a vacuum here, and we work with, for, and in the interest of the community. And so to the extent that we can make comments from which a builder, an owner can infer possible avenues for success, then I think that's entirely appropriate. Notwithstanding which, I respect all the comments made here tonight. I understand them. I think they're perfectly legitimate. I happen to disagree with some, but I understand where we are, and all for good reason.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Mia or Melinda, any last thoughts before we open it up to the folks in the gallery? No?
No.
Okay. All right. So Elise and Mike, we're going to open it up to public comment. And again, same process. There's really, unless there's a direct question to you, which I'm not even sure if I want to save those to the end. Let's just let folks speak. We'll listen to what they've got to say. And then at some point, when there are no more hands raised, I'm going to bring it back to the commission. Does that make sense? All right. So Heather, I'm going to look to you. I have a little bit of a weird screen here to see who, I think a few folks would like to speak. If you would again use the raise your hand function or at least wave at us, we'll find you. I see one hand raised. It says Concord. I'm not sure who that is though. It's the town weighing in to speak on its own behalf. No, I don't know who that is. Is there a way to
It's
identify?
Mark Giddings.
Hi,
Peter.
Mark.
Sorry.
How
I'm not
are you?
real good at this, but I do my best. So
That's okay. All right. Welcome, Mark.
and
Nice to see
I'll
you.
make it brief, but all good comments. What happens if you took and flipped the garage like we did to the middle house on Lowell Road? Would that make it easier? You know, in other words, take, and as opposed to having the garage face forward, Louise, I'm aware of what you said, that we shouldn't be redesigning the house, but I can do that. Okay. So,
You certainly can.
you know, if you flip the garage so it faced towards Barrett's Mill Road as opposed to towards Lowell Road off the back of the house, would that
Great
make
question.
it less obtrusive? And, you know, I'm with Paul. I think we have excuse me. I
You.
think everybody should try to accommodate where they can. That's all. Okay. So just as I look at the design, and Elise, I'm not trying to step on your toes. You're the designer, but you know, people don't like the way the garage faces, and it also endangers the sugar maple trees to a certain degree. So, and you could move the house a little bit off of the, you know, towards that side of the lot a little bit. Just a thought. That's it. That's
Thank you,
my
Mark.
comment.
That's
Whatever.
excellent input. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I doubt that, but that's okay.
No, I do. Now stop that. Let's see. Who is next on the, I'm looking for hands. I'm looking around. Heather, are there any raised hands?
Still this person named Concord.
That's Mark.
They just
No,
raised,
actually, it's a different one.
I think it's someone else.
Oh, is that someone else?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who that is. Can
I've asked them to unmute.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Am I on?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, now we can hear you. Can you
Okay,
tell us,
thank you.
Tell us who you are, please.
Good evening. I'm Wilhelmina. I'm on Lowell Road,
Uh-huh.
and I would like to make several comments. The first
Right.
one is that the original layout of the four corners was totally great. And now, because there is a buildable lot, we have to work with this. However, the proposed building fills up the total lot, and it's just not appropriate. The second comment I would like to make is that the examples given for houses that had front porches and garages were not in the same district, meaning that they were in a different zoning, meaning that the lots were very, very much smaller. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Wilhelmina. May I ask what your address is, just for the record?
Excuse
What
me?
is your what is your street address?
597 Lowell Road.
597. Okay, thank you. Okay.
I'm a close neighbor.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. So I
let
just
me
wanted to get
add,
that. for that.
may I add one more comment here, if I may? I think that in light of the preservation of what we have in the historic houses in the corner, that this proposed house is totally out of proportion and does not fit at all with what we perceive to be an historic corner. And I would really hope that the HDRC committee would be against this, as I've heard from some members, and that there will be a much smaller appropriate house on the lot, which is
anything.
really that lot is really not designed to have a house on it in the first place, but at least to have a much smaller house there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see Rich Santoro, I see your hand raised. Welcome.
Hi, yes, Eric is here as well.
Hi, Erica.
Hi.
Again, thank you for the commissioner's time and your comments and your evaluation of this. You know, I actually, and I know it was forwarded to you. I had a very, slide deck to kind of go through with presentation about all of the issues that, the community have been raising. I just want to make that a clear point. I know, I think it was either Nia or Melinda who raised that point. There has been over 94 individuals, your Concord residents who are in opposition and are concerned with all of the points that were laid out in our letter and in the petition that was posted. So I was going to go through all those, but I think that hearing the comments from the commissioners, I feel like you all have a good grasp of the community opposition and the reasons why. So I'm not going to go through that. But I just wanted to, thank everyone for the time and the consideration so far of this and the work that's been done towards trying to find, an appropriate for the appropriateness of Hildreth's Corner and the preservation of Hildreth's Corner.
And I just wanted to say one thing, and that it was kind of that the comment was made that we had moved to this house, which, we are the ones most affected, although I think the whole community will be affected. And the point I had to make was that we did know this was a buildable lot next door, but we also knew it's in the historic district. So we knew it would be protected against an inappropriate, house being built there of this size. And so while we knew something could be built there, we knew it would have to, fit within the guidelines of the HDC and be appropriate and not detract from the significance of this corner.
And I think to Erica's further point, Mr. Bushnell he's negotiating to buy this lot, but he's also aware of the same issues that the lot faces in terms of the awkward way the owner of the lot had split it up to just make it minimally buildable. And so, again, we thank everyone for the time. Eric, do you have anything else?
No, just that if this wording on the site visit, it's clear that the line was drawn to make enough frontage to build something, and that amount of frontage includes half of our front lawn. And the only reason that would ever be drawn that way is to be able to fit a house into the whole reason that the town has guidelines for frontage is to not be able to build these houses right on top of each other. And that the only reason this meets the frontage criteria is because the previous developer, or the developer who still owns it, drew the line halfway through our front yard. So again, it was done to be able to build on that lot, but it's still in this historic district for a reason, because, this type of large scale house in this area that's so important should be avoided. Okay,
thank you, Rich and Erica. I do want to point out that that specifically the HDC, we have guidelines. We're not we're not like the building department. We don't have a building code that we enforce. If you read through our guidelines, they are just that, they're guidelines. And we do try to emphasize that while we try not to set precedents, every lot really is different in Concord as far as we're concerned. So we really try to look at each individual situation for the appropriateness within our mandate. So,
and Peter, we thoroughly recognize that. I think that the position is for this oddly shaped narrow lot, this build is inappropriate. And I think one of the other commissioners brought it up perfectly. Like, if this was on a different lot or a different place, not next to an architecturally significant house, and others in the corner on a differently shaped lot, could be perfectly fine. But not for here. And in the guidelines, we do think are appropriate. But we thank you for that, Peter. We understand.
Okay. Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
I see Nancy Traversy has got a hand up. Hi, folks.
Hello, thank you, Peter. This is Martin Noack and Nancy Traversy at
Hi,
8
Martin. Hi, Nancy. Welcome.
We are at 8 Barrett's Mill Road for the record, and we thank the commission for the time they put into this and the site visit this morning, which I attended. And I think that the posting of the historic plan and also the GFA and frontage gives you a clear representation of the 4 substantial structures that exist on the corner and how well spaced out and in keeping with the agrarian, that's the word used in the guidelines, the agrarian nature of the region. So when you see the proposed property squeezed in to the narrow archstone lot, it does get jammed in there. So I am in full support of all of the comments about, unfortunately, despite, from the drone's view of the footprint, that it doesn't look, too substantial. I think it is substantial and it's crammed into that space. And then being on the site visit, the massing, the height of the structure, I absolutely endorse the point that it will block out the sunlight for a number of the properties nearby. So I just reinforce many of the points that have been made by the local community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Heather, I'm looking around for additional hands. And do you see any?
I don't see any.
Okay. Hold on a sec.
On mute.
All right, let's see, is anybody waving at us? That's my only concern, is some people can't quite figure out the technology. Okay, I don't see any people waving, and I can't hear any shouting, at least outside my window, so that was a joke, sorry. All right, let me bring it back to the commission then. Thank you, folks, for public comments. So I'm going to say, as a chair, there's a lot of new information here, so I frankly don't feel like I could make a decision tonight. I need to absorb this a little bit better, but I'd like to hear from all of you now that we've had a little bit of a discussion and heard from the public. So why don't we go around and just see if you agree with me. Abby, what do you think?
So I guess, I think it's been probably a helpful, but probably frustrating discussion for the applicant. My general feeling is that I would need to see a reduction in size and perhaps reconfiguration in order to consider moving forward on the application. If the applicant, and I'm not going to speak for the rest of the commission, but I think if the baseline is we can't make it smaller and we can't reconfigure it, I think it's an uphill battle to have it determined to be appropriate under the current design. So my suggestion would be is if the applicant wants to take time and think about ways in which they can address some of the concerns of the commission and the community, I think that can be really valuable. And I think there's an opportunity to move forward from that place. But I also want to be sensitive, and I don't want to waste the applicant's time, money, and energy. If this is really the design that has to happen for you, I would say from my personal perspective is that I wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward with an approval. So I realize that's not incredibly helpful. Maybe my newborn baby brain is not functioning at its full capacity tonight, but that's kind of my general perspective of what I hear from other commissioners and what I hear from community members is that, there's an opportunity here for a smaller structure, a reconfigured structure, but that the current iteration, the concerns outweigh, kind of the positives at the moment. So I realize that doesn't get us that much further down the road, but that's kind of where I'm still sitting after listening to my fellow commission members.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. I do want to point out, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to play games here, but you can tell I'm doing a kind of a vague straw poll here. So I do want to just see where we sit. Luis, you're next.
I want to echo Abby's comments. So I don't think that this design can move forward. I think that there are too many problems with massing, with the obstruction of the sunlight, with the distance from the neighborhood, et cetera, and I don't want to get involved into any design issues and suggest the applicant that he should have a house with a different size. But I can tell categorically, and I think that we should be forthcoming and honest with the applicant, that this design, I don't think that it has the potential to be accepted by the majority of the Historic Districts Commission for the issues that have been mentioned over and over again. And I again praise both the applicant and his architect, because they have addressed all the issues as much as they can be addressed, but they cannot go against things that are not under their control, which is the size of the lot, which is what is creating all these problems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Luis. Paul, what do you say?
Yeah, I think having been sensitive to the comments that have been made, I think it's really up to the applicant. If the applicant feels that modifications can be made and the applicant wants to continue the matter, then fine, but it's pretty obvious that if this is a design that's immutable and the size is immutable, then this is going down to defeat. So I see it as up to the applicant to request a continuance for reasons that they may know and we don't, or that we just vote it down.
Thank you, Paul. Nia, what do you think?
Peter, I have nothing further to add from what my fellow commissioners have said.
Okay. Melinda, any last thoughts? You're muted. Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I think it's pretty clear that this is black and white at this point. And I would hope that we might see something better, but it's up to them.
Okay. So I'm going to look, Mike, I'm looking at you and Elise. So you've heard the commission. I think we've had a minimal amount of additional public comment. So what do you all think, given what you're hearing?
At this point, I think we'll continue the meeting, continue the hearing.
You'd like us to continue and maybe come
Sure.
back with some additional thoughts?
Yeah, we'll talk it out and see if we can regroup here.
Okay. All right, that works for us. I think we, as you can hear, we're, at least some of us are on the fence and we'd like to find a way to work together. So
Sure. Yeah.
thank you. And thank you again. I really do want to emphasize that this takes patience all around and we do want to work toward an amenable solution. So, all right. Thank you for that, Mike. And so I think I'll look to the commission for a motion to continue this application.
I would like to make a motion.
I just
I
wanted
move-
to ask the applicant how far of a continuance, to the next meeting in 2 weeks or to a meeting in November? Just wanted to know how much time.
Good point.
Yeah, how quick do you need that answer?
They need to continue it to a specific meeting
Well,
right
we
now.
need-
So the next meeting is October 21st, or the meeting after that is November 4th.
We'll do the 24th for now. Is it October? Did you say, what was it?
October
21st.
21st.
Yeah, we'll do that for now. And if,
2 weeks.
Okay.
can I still work backwards from that if we need more time and then
Yes.
ask to go to that? Yeah, okay.
All right, Luis.
So I move that we continue the application of 615 Lower Road to the meeting of the Historic Districts Commission of October 21st.
Second,
All right, I'm just going to go around, do a roll call vote. Give me an aye or a no. Abby?
Aye.
Cute baby. Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Nia?
aye.
And Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, so we're continued for a couple weeks. Mike and Elise, thank you. And thanks to folks from the public for attending, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks. And Elise, you know, there's what's the deadline for getting material? And I know we're a little bit fuzzy here, Heather, because of COVID and all, but what, a week
Yeah,
before?
I mean, it's great to have it like a week before the meeting.
Right, but that's next week.
Just, yeah, so they have time to review it, but I mean, by Monday or Tuesday of the meeting, so we can try to get it online, so people have time to review it ahead of the meeting and they're not seeing it for the first time at the meeting. It's great.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, clear as mud, Mike?
Yes.
All
Yep.
right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elise, and thank you, commissioners. And folks from the public. All right, so we're continuing that till the 21st, and I do so declare that is a thing. All right, so our next, that was our continued hearing for the evening. And folks are free to leave the meeting if you'd like to enjoy the rest of your evening. Our first new public hearing, if I may move along, is 97 Lowell Road. This is the military offices in the Main Street District to install some signage. And I'm not
That was
sure who's-
actually a typo on,
Oops.
that was a typo on my part. So the agenda, the next one is 110 Walden Street.
Oh, that whole thing is not in tonight.
Yes, I apologize. That
Oh,
was a typo.
rats. All right, well, we only have
It's
three
supposed to be
public.
deleted.
All right, this is 110 Walden Street in the Main Street District, the Concord Home for the Aged. This is a certificate application to replace a roof, gutters, downspouts, and deteriorated clapboards and trim. And I'm not sure who's presenting here tonight. From Tom, is that you? Tom, you're muted. You're muted there.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Bates.
There you go. Tom, can we hear you now?
Yes, I'm
There you
sorry.
go. Oh, that's all right. Thank you, Tom, for attending. Would you mind running us through the application materials?
Well, I'll give you the intro and then I'll turn it
That's
over
fine.
to Tom Kerrigan to continue. But
Okay.
my name is Tom Bates, as we've discussed, and I lived at 28 Concord Green, number 6. And I'm a member of the board of directors for the Concord Home for the Aged, also known as the Timothy Wheeler House. And the Timothy Wheeler House is located at 110 Walden Street. It was built in 1851 in the Greek revival style. In 1889, it became the Concord Home for the Aged and has served Concord continuously in that capacity to this day. I like to say it's a historic house with a historic mission. Anyway, we are here tonight to request approval for the installation of new architectural shingles for the roof and changing the current color from gray to black to match the shutters and the windows. The existing shingles are a dated single ply type shingle. In addition, we are requesting approval for replacing the current gutters with fiberglass ones. The current gutters are wooden gutters, but they do not have the capacity to accept the amount of water coming off the 888 square foot roof. The proposed 5.5-inch fiberglass gutter can carry a greater capacity of water and have fewer maintenance requirements, which is important for this 3-story building. We have hired plat builders for this project, and so now I'd like to turn it over to Tom Kerrigan.
Thank you,
as
Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi. So as Tom said, they'd like to change the roof to black. It would be a GAF Timberline HDZ, charcoal black.
All right.
So right now it's a 3-tab shingle. The Timberline is a more durable, modern shingle in an architectural style.
Do we have a sample of that, Tom? Sorry, I see it in the application. Do we have a sample or a picture of that shingle?
I could bring one up. Would you allow me to share?
Yeah, I think, well, certainly for the record and what have you, we'd want to either look at a physical sample or like a picture cut sheet from a catalog of the.
Yes, which we do have.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, so please go ahead.
No problem. As far as the gutters, It is a product that we use from Fiberglass Gutter Company. They use a wooden mold to form the gutters. So it has an actual wood grain texture if you look at the style. It's a really durable product. They use a gel coat coating over it. So it's UV resistant, so it really stands up over time. That gel coat comes in a vintage white, so they actually never require painting. So they're really a maintenance-free type product. Right now, they have wooden gutters on that are very deteriorated. They overflow, and some of the downspouts are actually not even functional. They're in the wrong locations. One of the, let me see what page. If you look at page 8, Heather, if you could scroll to 8. On the left side of the main house, one of the downspouts is actually coming out of the face of the gutter. So it's completely non-functional. We're proposing to tear off the wood gutters and all the rotten trim behind it, replace that, and then install the fiberglass gutters over the fascia. So realistically, it's not going to look much different than what you're seeing from this distance.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Now this, didn't we do some modifications to the fire escape?
Yes.
2 years ago?
Yes,
Okay.
the fire escape and the fire escape doors, we're getting replica windows to match the others. That's in process and should be in by the end of November, if not earlier.
Okay.
The fire escape will stay up a little longer until we get the roof and gutter projects finished.
Okay, I just want to say I love this building and I love that you're trying to take care of it. So this looks like a very straightforward maintenance, deferred maintenance kind of project to me. So let me hear from the commissioners. Abby, what do you think?
No objection.
Luis?
No objection whatsoever.
Paul?
I have no comment on this.
Nia?
No objection.
Melinda?
I think it's just fine.
Okay, so I have nothing else to add. So I get the award for brevity tonight. Is there any public comment on the application here for work to be done on 110 Walden Street? I'm just looking around here. I don't see, wow, everybody left. All right, why don't I bring it back for a motion from the commission, please?
I move that we approve the application for 110 Walden Street to replace roof, gutter, downspouts, gutters, downspouts, and deteriorated clapboards and trim as submitted.
Second.
Second, all right, let me go around for a
Oh,
vote.
actually, can I
Oh,
amend
sorry,
that?
Nia, yes.
Could we please get a sample of the shingles or, a brochure or something, cut sheet?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me just go around for a vote. Abby?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, you're good to go. Thank you, Tom and Tom, and good luck getting the work done.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, see you around town. Okay, our next applicant, 503 Lexington Road. This is in the American Mile District. Jeff and Kelly Arl. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Nope, it's Arlie.
Oh, geez, man, I'm Italian too. Everybody always gets my name wrong. All right, sorry about that. This is a certificate to repaint an entry door and install new garage doors.
Oh.
And with apologies to mispronouncing your name, could you just run us through the intent here? This looks very straightforward. We're repainting these black.
Well, yes, we have broken garage doors, so we need to replace them. And
Sorry, yes.
we've given you, I think, the specifications for the the doors we chose, but we wanted to change the color also to a matte black standard and match the entrance doors on the house as well with the same color.
And okay, so it's a slightly different design. The doors that are there have this sort of curved window. The proposed doors have glass in the top lights, but it's a squared off shape, which I think is fine. And these are 4-section doors that go up, correct?
Yes, almost identical. We want to keep the same accessories also on the door.
All right, and the black would match, you mentioned the front door of the house? Is that how it would work?
Yes, they match now, and we want to change the color basically of the garage and the entrance doors.
Okay. All right, pretty straightforward to me. Let's go on and see what the commissioners have any comments. Abby?
I have no objection. I just would want for the record to have the actual paint color. Black is fine, but we just know there are 49 different blacks out there, just like white. And so if you can just make sure that Heather has the actual paint chip and color for the black that you go with, that would be my only comment.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Luis?
No comment. I think it's fine.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I also want to wish the Arleys the very best since they were longtime neighbors.
Thank you, Paul.
Nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you.
Right. Nia
I have no objection.
and Melinda.
I have no objections either.
All right, let's see if there's any public comment. Is there any public comment on the work to be done at 503 Lexington Road? I see tumbleweeds and hear nothing. So how about a motion from the commission?
I move that we approve the application of 503 Lexington Road to repaint entry doors and install new garage doors, and that the chip of the paint to be used be submitted to the commission in an administrative fashion.
And I just need a second from Paul. All right, let's go around. Abby, what do you say?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
And Melinda?
Aye.
All right, thank you, folks, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. I'll get it right the next time.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. The Harleys, look at that. That was the shortest application we've had this year. All right. And our final application for the evening, 399 Lowell Road. This is in the, oh gosh, what district are we in here?
Barrett's Farm.
Barrett's Mill Farm. Yes, that one. You know, it's been a long night. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is Julia Minor, and we are, this is a certificate to install roof-mounted solar panels. So on the southeast facing roof of the new garage. So Julia, I see you here.
Peter,
Yes.
excuse me. I need to recuse myself. I'm a direct neighbor.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll see you a little later.
Yeah.
You know, it's the second time tonight someone's called me Paul. I have a brother, Paul, and Paul's next to me on the screen, but you know, I have a much different hairstyle. All right, Julia, welcome. And you want to let us know what you're proposing here?
Well, thank you, Peter. I was thinking that Tiffany was going to present this, but we are proposing an array of solar panels on the southeast facing roof and dormer roof of the barn only. And I have a photograph from the road that shows that they will be barely visible. Let's see, that's really it. Let me share
Julie,
my.
I apologize. I'm Clark Crawford. I'm standing in for Tiffany Wolf this evening from
Oh,
Revision
okay.
Energy.
Oh, hi, Clark.
So
Nice to
sorry I
see you.
didn't speak up earlier, but
No, that's okay.
yeah. So I can take over. Just give a quick description of the
Yeah.
of the solar array if that
Fire
works for
away
you.
the
And awesome.
technical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, and sorry again, but yeah. So I'm from Revision Energy. We're the solar contractor.
Welcome, Clark. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
So we're proposing the installation of the 8.5 kW solar electric array on the newly built new addition to the home. So the array consists of 23 panels, as you'll see there, broken up into two subsets. They're 370 watt panels. They're all black solar modules. We'll be using all black racking system as well. So black mounting rail, all black hardware to kind of match the aesthetic of the roof and blend in with the color of the panels as well. In addition to that, we'll have roof mounted junction boxes beneath the panels. So we'll be hiding all rooftop conduit and wire. You won't be able to see anything outside of the array. And then as far as electrical equipment goes, the in-phase electrical equipment will be inside the home. The only exterior will be the ones required by the utility and electrical code, so a disconnect and a meter. Those would be out on the pedestal near the existing utility meter, and then a disconnect on the southwest portion of the garage there as well, as a required disconnecting means for where the solar actually is. So yeah, as Julia was saying, I included a picture of the street view. I didn't have great photos from our site walk, but that's just a snip taken from Google Street View. You can see it's pretty well hidden by vegetation there. They have a tree line that runs down the left side of that driveway that hides the roof plane we're putting solar on pretty well from Lowell Road if you're coming south. Coming north, you can kind of catch a glimpse of that peak of the new build, but the existing structure kind of blocks your view from that street view as well. So it's fairly hidden. I think maybe in the winter you might be able to catch some glimpses of it without the filled in vegetation. But yeah, so that building is perpendicular to the road, so it's harder to get a glimpse of. And that's the on the screen there. That's the roof plane getting the solar. So happy to go into any more detail. Okay. I can stop there.
Thank you, Clark. I actually think you're all right. I think you can't really see this, and frankly, I'm a supporter of solar energy, so I think it's good to give an indication that we're in the 21st century, even in the historic district. Can I ask a question? So this view is actually what I wanted to ask about. The panels, I'm thinking about gutters. There are no gutters on this now, and that is the roof. The snow will fall right down onto the ground. I'm assuming it won't.
Peter,
yeah.
Yes, we're working on the gutters. I'm sorry, this has been so piecemeal. You're going to have to see me again, but we have a half round gutter spec'd that goes down into concealed drainage underground to a dry well. So those will be on the four corners of the barn, and it with a copper color. Well, probably won't be copper, but not white. And then the mud room, which is the white part of the addition that we did, will have a white gutter also.
Gotcha. Okay, but that's a future application.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Frankly, it was a safety.
Again, but and if you'd like, I can share screen. I think you've already seen the view that I did a rendering of what the barn looks like down the driveway, which is more germane to the conversation, I think. So if you'd like to see that, I can show it to you.
Sure. I think that's okay. Heather, can you do that? Can you allow
She should
Julia to
be able to screen share.
share the
As we saw earlier in the
my
meeting.
own screen, sure. You see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see that there's very little of the roof that you'll see. And also we chose a dark, not really dark gray, but a charcoal roof shingle so that it would blend.
Gotcha. Okay, I got it. I have no useful comments beyond what I've already made, so let's see what Abby thinks.
Do we have a photograph of what the actual solar panels look like? Not the specs or the schematics, but an actual photograph? We don't. Okay.
I can tell you, Abby, they're what they call black on black. They're
Okay.
just completely black. There's no metal to them at all. They would be butting up against each other, so it would just be a black, mass that you.
Yeah, because we've looked at, we're seeing more and more solar installations, which I think is great. The concern we always have is the sheen and the reflectivity. Is how
matte.
I don't think visibility is not really as much of a concern for me on this installation, but as you said, driving down Lowell Road in that direction in the winter in bright sunlight, is this going to be like a shiny mass on that barn? That's my question. That's why I wanted to just see if we had a photograph of what they looked like installed on another roof.
Clark, can you comment? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm able to provide example photos if that would be helpful. I don't have them with me, but I can definitely provide the committee that at a later date. I mean, they're very dark in color, so they do absorb the sunlight fairly well. So they're not very reflective, but I'm happy to give a few example photos. That'd be helpful.
Okay, thank you, Luis.
Okay, I think that solar panels are solar panels, and no matter what, they look like solar panels. So they are a disruptive injection into the structures. But one of the things that creates the most disruption, from my perspective, about solar panels is that most of the time they are irregular, meaning that there are 2 on one side of the roof and 3 on the other side, etc., etc. So I think that this is a fine design, because I've been looking at the distribution of the panels on the roof, and they are actually like trying to occupy as much of the roof as possible, for one thing. And secondly, they are quite symmetrical, which is the thing that gives away very quickly that there's a solar panel there, because you can see that there's a different shade of black. So I think that this is going to be seen partially from the road, but I think that solar panels is something that we should be considering very seriously. And from the perspective of the regularity and everything else, I think that this is a fine proposition.
Thank you, Luis. Paul, what do you think? Oh, you just muted yourself. There you are.
Subject to the photographs that are administratively acceptable to Heather and the staff, I don't have a problem with this, only because essentially it faces away from the street. I mean, in general, I'm opposed to seeing any kind of solar panel, notwithstanding its energy virtues. But in this particular case, I think they're minimally visible, and I understand at least they're a flat black.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Nia's recused, and Melinda, what do you think?
I think it's fine. I am all for solar panels, and I think the fact that you're not going to really see this at all is going to be just fine.
Wow, the HDC is decarbonizing before my eyes. All right, thank you all. So by the way, Melinda, Abby, you're a voting member now since Nia stepped down. Let me see if there's any public comment. Is there any on the proposed solar array at 399 Lowell Road? While there are very few people left, so I don't see any hands. So let me bring it back for a motion, please.
I move that we approve the application of 399 Lowell Road to install roof-mounted solar panels as proposed.
I need a second.
Second.
Linda, second. All right, let me go around for a vote. Abby?
Aye.
Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. You are approved, Julia and Clark. Thank you for the presentation and good luck getting the work done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Have a good evening.
Good
Thank you.
night.
You too.
Thanks.
I know I sound like I'm from Maine when I say that. It's like you can't get there from here. All right. So that was our final application for this evening, correct, Heather? We didn't have anything sneak in there at the end.
Right, we just have one amendment request.
Okay, so this is 340 Main Street, correct? This is changing a previously approved color, Newburyport blue to Hale Navy, H-A-L-E, that is, not H-A-I-L. Justin, are you presenting for the applicant? I can't hear you though.
Okay.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Justin Miller from DSK. Yeah, I'm presenting for the applicant here. This is
All right,
the Anderson
welcome.
residence. Thank you.
All right, so that's the amendment there. We're just changing one color to another. Do we have the chips? I'm looking at them.
Yeah. All the chips there.
Is there before and after, or yes, Hale Navy, Newburyport. So the new color is actually a slightly grayer, less green, at least on my screen.
Yeah, I think the second page is a little better representation. I think the colors got a little muted on the first page. That the top right there shows the Newburyport blue, and when we put the samples up to review in person, it was just a little brighter and a little less of a contrast to the siding than we wanted. So the Hale Navy is a little more of that kind of darker shutter, darker door color that you typically kind of see. So we decided that was a little better, a little higher contrast to the siding was going to look a little more appropriate.
Okay, I have no objection. Abby, any thoughts? Nope.
No, no objection.
Luis?
No objection.
Paul?
No comment.
You're good. Nia?
I love Hale Navy. It's all good.
And Melinda?
I like the color too. It's fine.
All right. Is there any public comment from, I don't know if there's any, there are a couple of folks left on the color change at 340 Main Street. If not, I would look for a motion from the commission, please.
I move that we amend the certificate with respect to 340 Main Street to change the door and shutter colors from the previously approved color to Hale Navy.
Second.
All right, thank you. Let's vote. Abby, what do you say?
Aye.
Aye, Luis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Yeah?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Justin, thank you. And
thank you all.
Good luck getting the paint work done.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. All right, Heather, I have the only other two things I have. We do have minutes, and let me skip over the comprehensive long range plan. Has our secretary looked at the minutes and blessed them?
I have looked at all the minutes and I have sent in very, very minor edits on all of them.
And did anyone else have any comments or have read the minutes? I know I'm relying on Nia as usual.
I will add that I was absent from the last meeting, so I was just doing edits on typos as opposed to content. So maybe it would be prudent for somebody to read that for content.
The 16th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I scanned all of these minutes. I did not read them in detail. So
Well, as
how
long as
about if
somebody
we-
isn't saying something, ridiculous.
well, that's always a possibility.
That's
with
always
this
a problem.
committee. So what we could do is this: we could approve everything but the 16th, and then I would promise to read them myself.
Okay.
If that works for keeping things moving. What do you say? I can't make a motion though.
All right. I move that we approve the minutes for August 5th, August 19th, and September 2 as amended.
And the 2
Second.
site visits as well.
Yeah, throw those in.
And Paul seconded that.
Yeah.
Abby, what do you
Yeah.
say?
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Nia,
Aye.
and Melinda.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you for reading them so carefully, Nia, and I do promise to look at the 16th as soon as I can. And all right, so we skipped over the comprehensive long-range plan response. Did we share that with everybody, Heather? We did.
You had sent out an email that we forwarded to everyone a few weeks ago. I can re-forward that to everyone. I think, Nia, you asked me to do that and I forgot today.
Thank
But
you.
I can re-forward that to everyone.
Probably not a bad idea. And this is just really, it's a reminder. This is coming up in November. There's a
November
review
10th.
of November 10th of the comprehensive long range plan. And there's a part in there, as you know, about the historic districts. And they're asking for our input, if we have anything to add or any, and they're really looking for, I think, comments on, Luis, you were at the chair's breakfast when they brought this up. This is to look at the goals specifically. Do we have any updated?
Yeah, so the discussion on the chair's breakfast was of general issues. See, it's like, read it and make recommendations, but there was nothing specific.
Okay.
assigned
Well,
to
I
any
would say,
particular committee.
and it may be that it's a vague enough document that we don't have anything useful to add, but I would say read through it. We may want to add some tech. I wasn't advised in that document. I don't know if any of you were on that. None of us were brought into that, which irritated me at the time. So of course, I feel like now's our chance to say, now wait a second. So I would say read that. I think I did forward that section of the plan, although you can find that on a website, the town website too. It's an interesting read. The goals again are just mushy enough that they're pliant, but I would read them anyway and see what you think.
Peter,
So
I
yeah.
I went online and, I'm pretty lame at this sort of stuff, but, I found the 2018 final plan. Is this that they're revising it? I mean, I wasn't there at the last meeting, so Luis may have reported on this. Are they coming up with a new version?
No, Heather, maybe you know a little bit more about this than me. I think they're basically updating it, looking for input on the goals, because the goals were set, 4 or 5 years ago. So
okay,
have they changed? We may want to.
Yeah, I think they just want to do a check-in and see, like, have you made any progress on the goals in your section? That sort of like check-in.
Oh, okay, I get it. All right, check
And
in.
we may want to say something about increasing number of solar array applications. I don't know.
And just for information, see, we have discussed this issue a few times. And the last time, I think it was 2018, that was discussed. I took the time to read through the whole guidelines. And it was quite utopic, we have to be green, we have to do this and the other, et cetera, et cetera. And, in general, what I have read so far, it's not much different from that. So I don't see that there are any specific issues that we can address as a historic district commission. But
okay,
I think we should all read it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just reading the letter that went out to all the boards. Basically, the purpose of the meeting is to begin to implement action steps from the plan. Specifically, the town manager wants to lay out a 5-year plan for implementing relevant action steps, and then to identify departments that will be involved and launch development of a multi-year integrated planning process. That sounds like a black hole of time for land use, identifying currently owned. So I'll send a letter if you'd like. I would just look. Here's what I would do. I would read
Just
through
look
this
at it.
section and then see if you have any thoughts. They're trying to implement. I think, frankly, the hot seat is like our zoning and planning. We're, slightly in the back seat.
Okay.
So what
we
I'd like to
find
do,
this document- Yeah.
I was going to say, why don't I send, if you want, the section 4, that's the historic resources is like 800 meg K, and I can send that around again, and just, if you would all read it before the next meeting, and then we can discuss it then. What do you say?
I'll forward the email that I had sent out because I think you had linked everything in that.
Okay, but if not, if you can't
Thank
find it
you.
or get it, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a good read. I just wish they had asked us to participate. Democracy.
Okay.
Okay, that was it for me. Any, Linda, do you have any words of wisdom? I see you've been sitting in the background there patiently. Do you have any observations? Did you finish your
Thanks always
popcorn?
for all the work you're doing. I have to say, after a long day, you made my day with your comment about HDC is decarbonizing right before my very eyes. I'm glad everyone's able to keep their sense of humor. That's great.
We'll laugh, we'll cry. And I do appreciate, especially Paul, I'm looking at you, you know, I think pushing that the Lowell Road down the road, just let's let them see if they can do anything better. But, you know, I think it was pretty clear we were all not super happy about that thing. So,
Yeah.
but I see your point. I just want to say, I actually think on the other hand, it would be better just to say no and let them come back. But anyway.
Yeah, there's probably an inevitability here, but that's really up to them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Heather, any other?
We have
business?
received 2 green cards.
Yes, Henry
yes.
Moss.
Henry Moss
Yeah.
and Stephen Stashensky. I don't know how
Yes.
to
Now,
pronounce
do you know if he? So that's a good point. So I reached out to Henry Moss. I don't know if any of you know him. He's an architect at Brunner Cott. Actually, he heads their historic planning group. Any of you know Henry? He's a good. I mean, I know him a little bit. So I reached out to him, and Stephen seemed like he was more interested in the middle school. on the
Yeah,
green
HDC
card.
was not his first choice on the green card.
And he's a real estate developer. Henry's an architect. My heart, of course, warmed immediately. So if all right with you all, I reached out to Henry to see if he's still interested. If so, I'll bring that back to you all. I think it would be great to have another architect on this commission.
And we can
to
always
consider.
see if he can attend the next meeting and maybe
Okay.
just, you know, give a brief, you know, synopsis of who he is and why he's interested in joining the HDC.
Okay.
That way everyone can kind of meet him and feel him out a little bit more before you make a decision.
Okay. Well, Heather, why don't I reach out to Stephen as well? I've asked Henry to just call me or email me if he's interested. So if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Who's rotating off?
Me.
So Nia's gone at the end of the year.
And Kate moves up into my slot.
Okay.
But Kate is.
But
Kate
Kate's
may be
taking a leave of
sabbatical,
absence.
Right.
Right. So we're gonna need some bodies.
Okay. Is anyone else going off at the end of the year?
No, it's the museum year.
Okay.
It's the museum.
I think I may have only one more year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm looking at 2022, Nia, Kate. Well, Paul, you're 2024, actually.
Yeah.
I actually rotate off in 2023.
Right.
As Abby, you'll be reappointed. I can't serve again.
Yeah.
Right. So Abby goes up next year.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to run into
Problems here.
problems.
Right.
We're
We've
going
been
to
down one. I know Mark has expressed interest in serving again, which you can step down and come back on after a break.
Is there a time frame that you have to be off to come back
I think-
on?
Is it a year?
I think it's
Heather?
1 year.
I think it's just a year.
Okay.
So that's something to consider but on the other hand, it was good to have him throw his design ideas at us tonight because see, he can say that now. All right. I've kept you all enough tonight. Thank you all for your patience and input and discussion. It's a great commission. I love working with you all. Linda, thank you for attending, and Heather's, as always, the awesome support. So 2 weeks, we don't have any site visits planned in 2 weeks.
Nope.
Nothing. Okay, and
And Heather,
we do have the
Heather, would
big Millbrook Terry coming
Yeah.
up, right?
And Heather, would you be kind enough to ask them for paper copies that we can come in and look at the office?
Yes, I can do that. And I
Just-
will do that tomorrow and see.
It's just such a big application to see that on my little tiny computer.
Actually, Heather, we do, that is a big set, right? That we have at the office already?
Yes, they
Yeah, so
submitted
we
all
actually,
okay.
plans.
we actually do have a big set. So if you wanted to see those plans in person, larger than your computer screen, you can come into the office.
Thank you.
We're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 3. Someone will be there.
Does everyone know what we're talking about here? 71 Lowell Road there's a big proposal for
The Walgreens building.
the
The
Walgreens.
plans are up on
building.
the web already.
Yeah, so you can look at them. It's a fairly substantial development. So I would take a look at those as a preview and get ready. for our
I hope your
discussion.
dad does okay, Peter. I hope
Thank
he
you.
Yes.
Thank you
does
all. Thank you. Very
improve.
nice of you. And Abby, I'm glad the baby's well. And
Thank you all for the gift card to Saltbox. You're all far too generous, and that will be feeding us for quite some time, which is very
really?
helpful these
You're
days.
getting like one French fry at a time or something?
Yes, basically. But Ben, who owns Saltbox, actually did our wedding, so we have a long history.
Nice.
Oh,
with
wow.
Ben. So they've been feeding us through all the important things in our life. So babies now too. So
I
thank
ended up asking Abby where she wanted the gift card, and she chose Saltbox. So that's why
But
there was
thank
a
you.
change of plan. there.
Ah,
That was very, very
behind
kind
the
and very
scenes.
generous. So
Okay,
and one day you'll
well,
all get to meet William at a site visit when when he's allowed out in public.
very good. All right, folks. Well, listen,
Thank
nice to be
you.
with you and have a great evening, and I'll see you all around town one way or another.
Thanks, Peter.
All right.
Good
Thank you
night.
again. Thanks, Heather.